Hello and welcome to this exceptional edition of Visa for Music. Today you are at the session for Female Creation, Entrepreneurship and Cultural Management. Before we start, I would like to give a big thank you to the Visa for Music team and Ibrahim Al-Masnad, who have made this whole session, the whole festival, available and digital, which means that we can reach the whole world. We will be today discussing women and their role in the cultural and creative industries. We are here as women from these industries, and we have faced throughout our careers and and we are here to share our experiences and ideas. We actually form half of the workforce, and we have gone, if we look at the 19th and 20th centuries, we have gone from fighting for the rights to own property equally as men, fighting for the rights of having our votes, and now we populate half of the workforce. We are almost there, yet there are still a lot of challenges that we face, and there are a lot of things that we need to speak about, we need to share in order for us to make people aware of them and to enable us to tackle them. So with me today are very esteemed guests and ladies from different corners of Asia and Africa. I will briefly say their names and hello, and then each one of them will introduce herself. So with me is Sandra Nankoma, singer, songwriter, and activist. Hello, Sandra. Ouafa Belgacem, expert in resources, mobilization, and sustainability, and researcher also, and founder and CEO of the Culture Funding Watch. And Lama Hazboun, co-founder and managing director of OrangeRed and festival director of the Amman Jazz Festival. Hello, Lama. And last but not least, Mphatso Chidothe, creative consultant, cultural custodian, and community mobilizer, in addition to a children and youth activist. Hello, Mphatso. So as you can see, we are all in different corners. And by the way, my name is Christina Hazboun, and I am from MARSM, UK. I am in London, but Palestinian at heart. So hello again, and welcome to everyone. I would like to ask maybe Sandra, if you can start by introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about your work and your music.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Christina. My name is Sandra Nankoma, and I am a soul and jazz singer, songwriter, and performer, recording artist, and melanin activist from Uganda. I am very keen on female empowerment, skin acceptance, and getting rid of all stigma when it comes to color and expression in the arts industry, especially from my country. And yes, I am happy to be here.
Yeah, and you have worked on a lot of music, and I think that you also will talk later on about some work, and there's a little documentary, right? Coming up.
Yes, I have a documentary on skin coming out in 2021. It's about skin bleaching and colorism. And it's an empowering documentary, but also it stripped down the reality of what our society has made women turn into, and has made men as well turn into, because of the stigma that surrounds different shades of skin. And literally it's going to unmask what society is currently doing and what the media is doing. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Mphatso, would you like to go next?
So you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you and see you.
Okay, great. I am Mphatso Chidothe from Malawi. I am a creative consultant, a children, youth, and women activist. I am in the music industry. I'm currently managing the first ever girls band in Malawi. So that's just about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very rich, especially within your work and all of the challenges that you have done. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that. Lama, London to Jordan to Amman.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm from Amman. Okay, my name is Lama Hazboun. I've been working in music and culture for the past 20 years almost. Then established OrangeRed, a company specialized in music events and cultural events in 2003 for to focus on cultural events and the need for culture in our lives and to introduce high quality events. And then 9 years ago, we established the Amman Jazz Festival, which we have recently finished producing the 9th edition, and it was a local edition. So yeah, that is almost everything.
Yeah, and it was a challenge because it was a digital edition as well, but you filmed it partially on the stairs of Amman, right?
Yes, it was two festivals in one, the Music on the Staircases Festival and the Amman Jazz Festival, and it was open to all music genres. So, and it was a local edition, meaning that all the participants were from Jordan, and we filmed like 20 bands, almost involving 77 artists, and then we streamed from the 1st of November, from the 5th to the 10th of November. Yeah, that was a very challenging experience for the first time ever. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in these times and with all of the lockdowns and everything. Certainly. Thank you. And Ouafa?
I'm trying to unmute myself, sorry. So my name is Ouafa Belgacem. I'm based now in Tunisia, and I'm the founder of the Culture Funding Watch, which is Tunisia based, but it's African MENA rich enterprise that is specialized on access to resources, policy funding, and strategy on sustainability for the cultural creative sector in the region. So we work over 3 pillars: access to information. So we have now, I can say, one of the biggest database of art funders for the culture creative sector in the region. We do give support to resource mobilization, and also we do research to advocate and influence, and most importantly, recruit new funders and investors in the sector. So we do a lot of education in the both ends and work. So one of which, for example, we organize meetings between funders and supporters of the art and artists here. That's it. We exist officially, like operational, since 3 years, less even than 3 years. But I'm in the art and culture since, I don't know, since I was born, let's say. No. So,
you are creative, huh?
So yeah, it's something you can't, despite having a career, half of it in the international development about resource mobilization, but I've never left the sector. I was just stealing their knowledge to come back to ours.
Yes, and it's very important because here we are with different backgrounds, but still within the cultural and music and artistic sector. Great. As women, we are surrounded by buildings, vehicles, and industries, all designed and thought by men, if you thought about it. We are actually still within patriarchal societies, and within that, we need to imagine our own spaces. And so within your creative journeys, I invite you to share perhaps a few challenges that you would have faced, especially that it wouldn't have been easy, and no industry, no career is easy anyway. We all have challenges, but there's like 2-3 challenges that would stick in your mind that you feel like, okay, I would really like to share this with everyone who's watching now. Maybe Sandra, if you can go first. Okay, Sandra is having trouble, I think.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute.
Unmute, yeah.
Sorry, yes, unmuting, yes, I found it always. The challenges I have faced, first of all, as a woman in this industry, is equality. There's not much equality when it comes to the roles that women play in the industry. For example, when I was just starting out as a singer and performer, live performer, I happened to be the only girl playing in an all-male band. And I was the lead singer and the visionary and the songwriter. And I needed to learn how to arrange certain, to arrange my own music. But then I was not given space or room. Every time I tried to tap into production or trying to ask, how can I learn this? Can you kindly guide me on this? It's more like, you cannot do it. That's not your role. Your role is to sing, be the lead singer, be seductive, and that's all you can do, you know? But that's not all women, that's not all what we can do. I can, if I want to be a producer, it's because I want to be a producer. There is something that I need for people to tap into from my mind. And men in this industry have the they need to be in a place where they can support women more, give them the room, give them the space. So I was, for many reasons, I was cut off opportunity that way because I was just female. The things that they limited towards me, and it wasn't good. And the other one is colorism. That has always been part of the industry. It's a general, and it has more pressure when it comes to the women. For example, in my industry, I have been observing so many women that have joined the industry at their original color. Say, for example, a bit darker shade, and with time you see a variation in their skin tone. But this is not because they want to, but it's because of the pressure that the media puts on them, that society puts on them, that you have to attain a certain image for you to be accepted. It's only the beauty first, and then your material can come later, and then your message will come later. But I do not want to be that way, and I have experienced that a lot, where I have been denied media interview just because I am a darker skinned girl, you know, where I have been denied opportunity on television as a co-host because I am not light skinned. And this is a huge hindrance for other girls that are coming up, girls of color, women of color that are coming up and starting in this role, entertainment industry. It's a big challenge, and it's so unfortunate that it's still very ongoing. We are trying our best. I am trying my best, and other musicians too are trying their best. I've seen so many on the platforms trying to push for ending colorism in the music, in the entertainment industry. But it's still a huge challenge, and especially also on the continent. We all know that media prefers certain kinds of shades to others, and it's something that we need to fight. We need to throw a light on so that people can open their mind. That skin is skin, it's you, it's who you are, it's your identity. There's nothing wrong with having a different shade of skin. And then the other challenge I have strongly experienced is in this male-dominated industry is my band right now, they're all male. I adore them, I love them, I respect them, but it hasn't always been easy with them. I can tell you from the start. Because you're female, when you tell them what you want to play, it comes off as, are you trying to tell me what to do? But you're only a woman, you know? In the first place, it's not their mentality now. In the first place, because they have been in this industry where men they've grown up seeing other men look down on women and try to suppress a woman. So it subliminally became a part of them without them knowing that they are actually participating in putting down females, you know, in the industry. So every time I would go for rehearsals, it wasn't easy trying to tell them, this is how I want my song to sound. This is not the drum. this is not the pattern, please, you know, the key is not like this. It was a bit of a challenge that I had to adjust really to bringing in my feminine side to calm down, like they say, feminine side, which shouldn't be the point. I shouldn't, if I come in and I'm in business, I'm saying this is how it should be done, like a man would say. That is how it should be done. I do not have to become a bit more humble towards a man for him to do something that I want. No. If I come and say my yes should be a yes and my no should be a no. But after a while, we had meetings and I spoke to them and they understood the point where I come from, and they weren't aware that they were doing this, you know? So meaning we as women, we should have that role of enlightening the men that are in our society about how we should be treated when it comes to professional grounds. We should tell them, I do not like how you do this. Do not do this. If they do not want to work with you, you can try finding other people. There will always be other people who want to work with you. Always. I can go on
Certainly.
and on and on and on and on and on about the challenges, I tell you. But
yeah, there's many challenges and they're all important. I think you've touched on the objectification of women, which has happened throughout the history of art. And the point of agency, that we actually have agency through words as well. We can say no, and we can make our words powerful, although we may not be physically as powerful. And that is a very important point. And as you said, skin color is a huge problem, not only on the continent. I think it's everywhere, to be honest.
It's everywhere.
And we need to acknowledge it, that there are prejudices that need to be tackled. I think that the Black Lives Matter movement has brought that to the forefront very prominently in recent months, and this needs to be out there and discussed, because the unrest has sort of receded slightly doesn't mean that the problem has gone away.
Yes.
The problems are still there.
True.
Okay, thank you. Ouafa, you have had an interesting, rich and long career, and I think you have different experiences and different challenges. Would you like to share some?
Yes. Having a career that has like a dual paths on the art and the development, I have been in different mixed situations, but if I have to pick one or two challenges, are one in terms of the level of professional career. And of course, you know, if you want to make your place in your work as a woman, you have to be the work double and become. My case was workaholic. I'm actually still now a workaholic person. So that was my coping mechanism, which is a negative coping mechanism to inequality in the world. But the situation where I really felt it the most was really lately, when I was like old enough and I have seen a lot, and it was by a woman, because in inequality, and in many cases, our worst enemy are women, whether they are our mothers who are teaching their boys to be really patriarchal, or those who really resist to the equality for women. And really, this the case was just last year. The first time in my life, I have been segregated for my pay salary because I've been a woman. By another woman who is responsible of an international cultural organization, multilateral organization, I'm not naming it, and she decided to give me just half what was given to my fellow expert for doing the exact same work. And it was my fellow expert who was angry about it and who told me about it. Of course, I refused to get the money. I said, it's a matter of place, but keep it for yourself, and with no shame. So, I mean, this is just an example. Like in our career, you will have your mom who will be the first to say, why are you dressed like this? Remember when you were teenagers, but she will never look at what your brother is wearing and what he's doing. So that starts there. And I think there is a real effort to be done. It's there, it's on women. That's one example. A second example also on stereotype and women being a woman strong in your career and your life. I've also told you, like, big part of my career is in the development world and INGO and stuff. So this is an environment where gender equality is something that very accepted, very promoted, even among my colleagues or my friends. But in my case, in my couple, I am the head of the household. So my husband is a house husband. He's the man sitting in home and following me and my career everywhere. And that's a choice we've done because my career offers us much more interesting life than his. And yet, when people ask me, oh yeah, what does your husband do? And he said, yeah, he's taking care of the house. And then there is always that half a second moment that people who are even sometimes gender experts or gender program managers, they are like, you feel that, and then, oh, nice. And then, yes, the reaction of processing it, oh, yes, great, and that's good. But there is always that look of surprise, because even those who are gender equality champion, subconsciously still struggling with those stereotypes. Not mention those who will look down to my husband because it's like his wife was sustaining him. I mean, it's shocking when it's a man, and it's not shocking when a woman is at home and her husband is sustaining her. It's not bad. It's a choice that the couple has made. So these are the example of challenges that like two cases are, and I think one other thing, like if you fight to be strong, to make your place around you, again, something very funny, as soon as you push back and you're hard and you impose yourself around your fellow males, whether you are when you are a student or in the work environment. I don't know if you have experienced that, but immediately when they feel that you're strong and they acknowledge that you're at the same level, they give you boys' nicknames. I remember when I was young, my fellow group of men, because when they realized they treat me equal, they called me Muhammad Saleh, which is a boy name. They didn't, so they can't process that to be strong, equal, but a woman. No, you have to be Muhammad. Now, come on, Muhammad. No, I'm not Muhammad, I'm Ouafa. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is actually a perfectly valid point where gender equality applies to men and women. It gives men also the right to be at home if they want to be at home. Earlier, when I was talking to Lama, we were talking about the gender roles that we see on stage a lot of the time, where you rarely see a man singing with a female oud player, for example. I don't think that we have ever seen that. However, a man should equally have the right to express whatever feeling they have and have that option and opportunity. And that's all tied back to agency as well, women's agency in, having a strong word, as Sandra mentioned earlier. Very, very exciting points, and thank you for sharing those experiences. Lama?
Well, I thought that only in the Middle East we face some sort of gender-based career things. So my case, because I don't come from a music background. I studied political science and public administration. So my family thought that I'm going to become an ambassador or something, or a diplomat. And I really, really did not want to work in politics. So my first job was an admin in the Jordan Academy of Music, and then later in the Conservatory of Music. And then when I decided to establish my own company, oh, it was a nightmare. I remember that for maybe 1 or 2 years, my father used to collect all those job announcements from the newspapers, telling me, here, there's an embassy who needs someone, apply to this job, and why don't you stay in what you do, but as a part-time job. And then, yeah, being a woman is certainly difficult to work in the music business, because it's here in my part of the world, it's considered entertainment. And entertainment, you have to stay up late at night, partying, not partying, but this is how people
Perceive it.
yeah, exactly. And I'm surrounded by musicians, and we're drinking and we're partying, and it's a crazy career. No, this is the opposite. So yeah, I started playing with words, saying, putting culture in everything I say. Like, what do you do? I work in culture. Okay, what do you do in culture? So just trying to spread some awareness and explain what is culture, what does culture mean, art and culture. We do many things: music, films, art. So yeah, the beginning of my career was very difficult, and having to work first. I started in the mainstream business, like booking some stars from the Middle East for some events. And that was crazy because all the impresarios, as they say, they were men. And the business was ruled by men, actually. And I really felt bad in the middle of between all of them because I used to get some strange phone calls telling me, get out of the business for your own sake. I said, what? Why? Why should I get out of the business? I'm doing my own job. I'm not doing anything. I'm alone. I'm doing my thing. So yeah, and slowly, when I discovered that my passion is really in culture, so I focused on culture. I created my own environment, my own safe zone, because I have to find myself somewhere secure, safe. Um, so started creating and promoting artists that we love, that we see, like the alternative music, focusing on alternative music, on the new talents, on the underground music, working with those people, not supported musicians. Um, yeah, so I think creating our own environment was the safest thing we did, like me and other people working in this business, other women. But I noticed that many women are in this business. Like in Jordan, the woman in the workforce is very natural, but in the entertainment business, in wedding planning, in festival management, in concert production, they are all women, and they're very creative, and they excel, and people respect them. Of course, you have to pretend that you don't hear many things around you, how people look at you, what they tell you. Is it harassment? Is it what? I don't know, but you have to pretend that you don't hear many things and just keep going on, do your thing, and don't look back. This is this is how you should do it here.
Totally. And I think going back to the point of safety, it is so important because especially that I'm sure all of us work or used to work really late at night and come back home really late. And obviously a male colleague would not have that worry about going back home at 3-4 a.m., in the dark. They can just walk home. It's not a problem. You don't worry about the taxi driver if you're going home by a taxi. You don't worry about the bus driver if you're going by bus. And it is definitely the space, and also not just the transport and the night, but also the venue in which the performances take place plays a huge role in that. Is it seated? Is it standing? If it's seated and perhaps there is no alcohol, then it's viewed as this is a classical, this is a high art event, whereas the moment the party is at a club, then there's that division in the arts and culture that also is a challenge, I think, because there shouldn't be that division between high art and mass art. And on that point, over to you, Mphatso.
Actually, listening to everyone, I'm like, everybody was just saying what I was going to say. So I'm going to say the challenges that I've met on the Malawian scene. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm managing a girls' band. Mm-hmm. And Sandra talked about it. the inequality is there, stereotyping is there, especially when people define the roles that women are supposed to be vocalists, women are supposed to be dancers. When it comes to instrumentalists, it should be men. So our band broke that because it's just a girls band. Everything is girls. The instrument is girls that are playing. So when you go to when you've got a performance and when people have not seen you for the first time, they'll give you a compliment, which is kind of like an insult, because they say, "Oh, so you actually play? Oh, you are playing." They think it's a compliment, but you're like, "I am an artist. I am a guitarist. I am a bassist." And when you're asking me, you can actually play, or you're appreciating me to say you can actually play. So the challenges that we meet in Malawi as female creatives is the inequality, because the stage, the platform, it's so much male dominated. And you've also covered something to do with the places where we perform. What time are the performances taking place? You see that most of the gigs happens at night, and there's all the traveling aspect. And in our culture, there's like social conventions that have been established. People view art as a hobby. So to see a woman investing in something that is viewed as a hobby, and to see you performing at night, you're traveling, you're performing with men, and then you are viewed as not a proper woman, because who is going to marry a woman who is performing or at night? And there's still that we have got challenges with our society to accept, number one, that art is a profession like any other profession, because a nurse can go to work and they can come back home and any other time it'll be accepted. But for a parent or for a family to understand that, oh, our sister or our daughter or my wife is a bassist in a certain band and their gig is playing at night and the gig is going to end at 1 a.m., to have that understanding and to support it, it's very difficult. The other aspect, I think I heard it from, I think Sandra mentioned about it, or Ouafa talked about the payment. When you are being booked for performance and then you tell them how much you charge, and they'll be like, "You're just girls." I'm like, okay, so it means girls are not supposed to be paid this much? And there's all that back and forth negotiations. And then you tell them that if you want us to play, this is how you have to pay us. So I think those are the challenges. But there's also another challenge, because there's the challenge is coming in within the industry, but the other challenge is coming in outside, like an external force. So it's more of the society, the parents. Our society has defined what a certain, or what is the right kind of profession that they want their daughters to do, what is acceptable. So to see music, art, and everything else is viewed as, if you're in the art industry, you have failed the other disciplines. So it's either you failed becoming a scientist, or you failed becoming a doctor or a lawyer. So the only option available for you is to become an artist. That's the view that they have. So there's also that back and forth battle with the parents. Like in our band, one of the girls in the band is, she graduated in IT. So the parents were expected that she's supposed to be employed as an IT expert, but here she is, a guitarist. And it was so difficult for the parents to accept it. I don't know if the parents are watching this, but we had a scenario where they had to break her guitar because they didn't want their daughter. They feel like she's wasting the investment they put in her education. They can't accept that their daughter is a guitarist because they want her to do IT, to do the kind of profession that is accepted in the society. So I can say the challenges, there's so much challenges, but we still have inequality in the art industry, the stereotyping whereby people define that women have to dance, they have to be the flowers that make the bands look beautiful, but the women shouldn't take the other roles like play instruments, because you don't see, like I heard, I think one of you talked about, you don't see the men becoming vocalists in a band where the ladies are the ones playing. You always see the opposite, because people have defined the roles to say, if you're a woman, then you have to be the one singing or backing or dancing. If you are a man, then you're the one who's going to be on the instrument. So we still have those challenges. As a band, we have existed since 2013. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been an easy journey to be accepted, but we have seen other girls band being established after us. So I can say, despite the challenges that we've been facing, we've been pushing, we've been advocating, and we're creating our space, because it's a matter of creating a space.
Totally, you need to push for it. If I was speaking to Sandra earlier, and we mentioned Audre Lorde and her thinking, and Audrey has a collection of essays called "Your Silence Will Not Protect You," and so we should not be silenced, and therefore we should speak out. But also on the whole issue of payment for the arts, payment for music, how much we should be paid and who should be paid and when. I think, Ouafa, that you especially work in a field where you have to, I assume, convince investors maybe that art is worth it. I would love to hear from you on that point.
Yeah. There is it's good you mentioned that, because as I told you, the mission of CFW is really to create and help creating an enabling ecosystem that help culture creative entrepreneurs or NGO or individuals evolve and flourish. And that ecosystem, there is a major player who is the investor or the funder. So we do a lot of work to try to recruit these new people, bring in the ecosystem new people who are not used to think of us as a sector. But when we started really operating in CFW, we found ourselves weak in terms of we don't have data. We're not credible. We're not credible when we talk without information. So we had, to respond to that, we had to do, we created something called Culture Creative Enterprises Index, that it's an open source, free access, helps generate for any given country in the world your own statistic. You can upload them. They are, of course, anonymous, but the statistics are available for everyone. And based on that, for Tunisia, for example, we just started publishing the statistics. You can see them on, we created the platform to help connect donors with entrepreneurs and freelancers and artists. It's called the cciboost.com. And then we start publishing these statistics and data. And one of the main outcomes of this statistic for Tunisia is when you look on the indicator around job creation and female leadership on those, we represent the biggest percentage on the workforce of the art, but we barely make it to 20-25% on the leadership position. We barely are 30% of the enterprises, they are women created and women led. You see, so for us to be able to convince, and this situation now in the entrepreneurship and the part of the cultural creative world, because they're not only entrepreneurs, there are NGOs, there are networks, there are freelance is part of the private sector. But so this how to say situation, even we find that access to investment and enterprises led by women have much less succeeded in raising investments and funds than men, while paradoxically the statistics shows that the most successful and flourishing businesses are those led by women. So there is something wrong here, and they think so. But and for that situation to change, there must be a lot of advocacy, and that's a weakness, because we don't, as an artist in general and women in particular, we're really not working really seriously on advocacy and influencing for art. And for my mission, for example, I'm influencing the donor, because we have to influence many stakeholders in our ecosystem, but CFW mission is on the donor. We're really bad in that, because we don't think of sharing data. Sorry, we're really, really bad in that. And we're really bad in creating really strong and meaningful support mechanisms between women to women. There are not a lot in the cultural creative sector. You find a lot in other sector, fintech, agriculture, I don't know. But in cultural creative sector, there are extremely rare B2B female support programs. You don't have, I haven't seen, at least in the MENA and Africa, a very strong established, for example, business angel, cultural creative sector business angel. So here is cool, guys. I'm trying to launch one for the Africa very soon. So join me if you're interested. Let's do something together.
That's great. I think you've raised a lot of very important issues in terms of funding, because art is unfortunately one of those fields that needs nurturing. It is actually very nurturing as well, because we can't, I mean, imagine our lives during lockdown without art and music. I surely would have gone exactly. Yeah, we would have shut ourselves. And so art is definitely very important. And I think now within the current climate, it is even more important. One point that me and Lama were discussing was about also the difference between the private sector funding and also all sorts of, I think, was it like non-governmental and charitable organizations funding, right, Lama? Would you like to bring that in?
Yeah, like 10 years ago, if you go and ask for funding or sponsorship for a music project, companies don't like it, sponsors, they don't like it. So in a why you take money for music. Even sometimes we get phone calls and they want to book a band for free. So why for free? It's something they do for a living. So yeah, I mean, convincing people that this is a real career something, and convincing the sponsors and donors and the private sector to fund and finance projects, cultural projects, especially music. I mean, maybe art is easier, maybe theater is easier, but I find music is the most difficult thing, because it's really entertainment and the last thing on their mind, you know. So, dealing with the public sector is something else, because the uh, the agenda is different. They want to fund something else. They don't look at the new arts. They don't consider these new arts that exist. It's part of the current culture that is shaping our lives and our societies. So they still think that the priority should go for the folklore or for the traditional arts, like classical music, if they're going to fund music, classical Arabic music in Jordan, for example. So, but slowly, and with the rising number of people working in the arts, things are changing, but very slow. Like, it's taking ages.
Yes.
It's taking a lifetime, really.
No, it's a change never happens in one go, and it's a process. Ouafa, you wanted to come in here.
Yes, just on the funding. Actually, the situation changes from a country to another, from an ecosystem to another. When you call it public funding, let's say we call it in the jargon of fundraisers is the institutional. And there is very little knowledge and expertise among us on what are the resources, what's resource mobilization. We usually confuse because when you talk public funding, everybody thinks of Ministry of Culture only, but you cannot resume the public funding only on Ministry of Culture. And that is the wrong way for us to think about mobilizing resources. And we miss a lot because we only think one way. In public funding, you have many other, let's say, resource streams that we don't think of because there is no specialization, like the expertise and resource mobilization for the cultural creative sector in our continent, at least, is really embryonic. We have very little expertise, like people specialized in that. There are funding streams from Ministry of Investment. There are funding streams from local authority, from your municipality, from Ministry of Education. It's just about knowing how to approach, how to mix those resources. And I do deeply believe that if we really want for our sector to survive, You really need to have in those ecosystems this kind of expertise in every country, and also on our capacity to mobilize in-country resources. It's really important that in every ecosystem you have your own art supporter. It doesn't matter if they are private sector or foundation or government, but national resources. Otherwise, we will never decoll and survive.
Yeah, I think that this question is a very tough one, because I think, like, as a Palestinian, and I think about the Palestinian scenario, it would be very challenging for us as Palestinians to have such an ecosystem and to build it. And in Palestine, the problem also is the problem of charities that come from abroad and the NGO section, which actually bring in certain expectations and demands on project deliverables, and therefore they actually help shape the art and music in a certain way that may not be in alignment with the local thought and with the local spirit. So actually, we also should be careful about those funding streams, where they come from, how they operate, what their demands are.
Absolutely. This is why I'm saying we need to have local resources, because that are the resources that will be really towards the your real strategy. That's the game. I mean, sometimes people, this negative connotation about international aid, but I always said, but that's the international game. And if you look at it the other way around, this is what we usually fail to do. When it's our country doing funding somewhere else and having an agenda, we call it cultural diplomacy. And when it's the other way around, it's bad. It's not, there is nothing that it's on the absolute bad or absolute negative, but it's our capacity to, how to say in French, we say, prendre son épingle du jeu. You take what is it and be smart about how you handle this. You accept what you want, you don't accept what you want. But to have an equilibrium, it's really important that we have our own funders. And female, of course, among these.
Female, yes. Yes, no, especially in leading positions as well, because as we all know, there's not enough women that make it to the top and are propelled to the top. Okay, and like within your experience and after obviously going through these challenges, we know that what doesn't break you makes you stronger. And so what would you say, would you share with women and even men and anyone, to be honest, who is watching, that you think that they need to know from your learnings, because you have gone through so much as in the cultural field, that I think that we can pass on that knowledge to anyone who's watching now. And also, I would like to say that if anyone who's watching is maybe somebody who works as a sound engineer or technician, I'm quite eager to hear about their challenges, if they would like to pop in some questions. So going back to the learnings and what you think is something really important that you have learned that you would like to share. I don't know, Sandra, Mphatso, would you like to come in?
Yeah, I'd like to come in. I can come in?
Yes.
Yeah, so
we can't hear you now. I think you muted yourself. If you could. Okay, while Mphatso unmutes herself, we shall give her a little bit of time. Maybe Sandra can come in. Okay. Yeah.
One of the things that I have learned in this industry for the years I have been in the industry is you need, as an artist, as an art practitioner, as a person participating in this system of art, you have to have good partners. Partners in the sense, if you are having a project, if you are trying to build an idea, if you are trying to create a performance, if you are trying to create a show, you need always to have the right partners. And how do you know that this is the right partner? You need to see how enthusiastic they are about the project that you are pushing for, and what are their views? Are they trying to change you from what you're trying to say, or are they supporting and making your project even grow better, that it can touch more art practitioners, more artists, and give more job opportunities to these people, you know? Because art has never been a selfish thing. If you are in the art business, then you know it's about sharing. Then you know it's about giving. Then you know it's about changing a community. It's not always about me, me, me. So you always have to have the right partners. They will always help you have your equilibrium. They will help you push forward. They will help you have pace, you know? And then the other is being able to share good ideas with fellow artists. I'm speaking from an artist point of view. It's not beneficial for artists to fight always against each other, to be as in a competition kind of setting, like how our industry is building several brands and artists and telling them you are competition to one another. No. Create a safe space where you can share ideas that will help you grow. Otherwise, you will be in a war zone with yourself and with the people that you are supposed to share this art for and create this art for. That is not who you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be a tool for change. You're supposed to be a tool that speaks change, that speaks love, that speaks peace, that speaks all these good things, because that's what art does. And for me, I have learned that always I have to surround myself with people that have brilliant ideas, and I too have to share my ideas with them. If an artist came to me and asked me, okay, I have this idea that I'm having that just came up, I need to do this. What do you think about it? I will definitely give you my honest opinion. And if it's not something that is going to work, I will also tell you and give you solution and say, this is how you should tackle this. This is the way you should go. If you use this, you are definitely going to crash. And sharing that is very important, because when I joined the industry, no one gave me this knowledge. I had to read, I had to find out, like, for example, copyright, publishing, all these things, being an artist and knowing that with my music, I can be an entrepreneur with my music. I can actually earn from my music. I don't have to strive so much. But how do I earn from my music? People that are already earning from their music, they are not telling you their ideas. They're not telling you how they are doing this, you know? So with me, I understood, I'm like, okay, with copyright. Oh yeah, so there are certain organizations with copyright. Oh, SASEM. Oh, it's an NGO. Okay, then I can, you know. And different artists will come to me and say, how is it possible that you are? I tell my friends that every week I'm paid, you know. My music pays me every week. And that's not the case for so many artists in my country. So they asked me, how do you do it? I told them, this is how you need to do. Get a distributor. You know, we are living in a digital era. There's so many distributors on the market that can distribute good music. I mean, your music for you perfectly. I gave them names. There's Ditto. There's CD Baby. There's actually I'm on CD Baby and I'm on Ditto. So it's a bit more eye revealing for your friends that don't know this. You're sharing these ideas with them, which is good. You're helping them grow. Then the other one, the final one that I have learned on my journey is sorry if I'm reading because I put
you
this
forget.
down. I
hope that
I need
yeah.
to share the right information for them.
No worries.
Yes, and also you need to find out as an artist where you can have regular income. Yes, we do music, it gives us income, but how do you survive? How do you survive as an artist? Sorry about that. How do you survive as an artist on a regular? You need to figure it out, and you don't always have to be restrained that I am an artist, I cannot do certain things. No, if there is opportunity for you to work as well as you're doing your craft, do it, because it's actually building your craft. These are ideas, and this is also a way of you surviving as an artist, not to be in a place where you feel stranded and you cannot vent for yourself. So that's what I've learned on this journey.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And being an agent of change and the connectivity is very, very important. I think that this is something that Ouafa spoke about, Lama spoke about. Mphatso, you've been waiting. I hope you haven't forgotten what you wanted to say.
No, I haven't forgotten. I think what I wanted to say is that one of the things that I've learned in the journey is the opportunities that are there. I feel like despite the hustle, despite the challenges that we've had, but there are some players that have helped. There are some platforms that have been there. Like there's some certain organizations, because if you look at Malawi, my country, 5 years ago and now, and you look at how women have penetrated into the arts, it's great. And it hasn't just happened. It's because some organizations, some individuals were very strategic. I'll mention a few, like Music Crossroads in Malawi has played a bigger role because it's an academy, it's a music academy, and it has enrolled ladies, it has enrolled girls. So because they are doing this, the Malawian community is now able to see that, oh, so this is a career, oh, so there's a profession. And there's other organization, Girl Effect, I've just mentioned too. There's so many organizations. So for me, what I've seen is the girls that have seized the opportunity to see what these platforms are offering. I think they have succeeded, because even the beginning of our band, it has been us seizing the opportunity that was offered. So I would say, despite the challenges that is there, but if you look at the scenery, things are changing. In my country now, people are aware more about art being a profession, and there's people that want to support. Of course, they do not know how to. That's why we still need to advocate. That's why we still need to teach them on how they can still support, because people can appreciate, like, oh yes, this is a talent, but they don't know how they can come in to support. So this is one area that we still have to do. But one experience that I've seen is seizing opportunity. And I've also seen that because of this digital era, there's so much that you can learn from others. There's opportunities. You as an artist, you need to do research and see what is out there. Like, for example, when you subscribe to music in Africa, there's always opportunities that you can get. There's a residency somewhere, there's a fellowship somewhere, there's a grant somewhere, there's a festival somewhere. So, and there's so much opportunities for women. So I can say what I've learned is to seize the opportunity. Look at the platform. And another thing is creating your own safe space. Like I've said, it's not easy for the space that is out there. It's so much male dominated, and it's easy because sometimes I've taken my band perform at a place whereby the men who get on stage, they're excited about the girls performing and they would want to touch the girls. You get what I'm trying to say? That is not safe, because this, as a performer, you did not perform because you wanted somebody to be excited and to get on stage and to start dancing with you or touching you or all of. So we have tried as a band to create that safe space, that as women, we can perform at a place where we are comfortable, where we'll be appreciated. And by doing that, what are we doing? We're showing the other women that are afraid to enter into the industry because they are afraid they cannot make it, because maybe it's not safe. Maybe they will not be viewed as the society expects a woman expects them to conduct in a certain way. So I think I've mentioned two things: seizing opportunity, creating the space. Another third thing, working hard. And of course, it still falls under the seizing opportunities, because for you to grow as an artist, you have to network. You have to find out opportunities that are there. There's more trainings, there's workshops. When you attend workshops, you meet people that are meeting the same challenges and you share ideas. And there are other institutions that are there just to like mold you and shape you. So I think these three are the learning moments that I can share to the world, to say, in your country where you are at, Seize the opportunities. What are the organizations that are there that can help you? Create the space for yourself and develop your art. I think that's what I can contribute.
That is certainly very powerful and important to voice that. And specifically the harassment bit, I think that this is an issue that gets overlooked and that does not get discussed too often or publicly, but and it falls within the objectification of women. You know, there is harassment out there. There is objectification of women. It's not a shame for the woman to be harassed. The shame falls on the man, and this goes back to our patriarchal societies that actually put the whole concept of honor on the woman without giving men any responsibility for that. And I think that we can tackle that through song, through music, through art, and it needs to be out there. But also in the workplace, it needs to be addressed and looked at. Lama, maybe if you would like to share some of the learnings.
I'd like to say that the most important thing is that you have to share information and be generous with what you know. And educate people, educate the people around you, educate the people who's working with you, you know, explain. Don't be, I mean, give, because if you want to create change, you have to help people rise so you can rise with them. So I've noticed like many people, when they got an opportunity, they don't share it or they don't tell you about it. No, you should make it accessible to everyone, because I mean, if they become better, you'll become better with them. Everyone will grow. The whole society will grow. So giving is a great thing, and of course you have to educate yourself. In the past, um, when I graduated, there was nothing, as I remember, called cultural management. So it was all business management, marketing. So we learned about the cultural management from our own experiences. So we had to learn many things, but you also have to teach others, because now we live in another world with technology. Everything is accessible, everything is there, but you have to know what is right for you. And then if you are an artist and you don't know your rights, you don't know your royalties, you don't know what you have to do, you don't know anything about the entertainment law or these things, you have to know. You cannot sit there, and expect that your life will be great and you become famous and you get money out of your production, and while you're sitting there, you can't. If you don't work hard, nothing will come back to you. And of course, diffusion of information, and stop focusing on the city and on the center, because people who really are cool and open-minded and like-minded, they are in the center. If we go out of the city and to the rural areas, to the less educated population, things will change a lot. The way of thinking, the way they look to women, the way they look, and everything will change. So, and I don't blame them. They're not educated enough. No one, it's not in school, So yeah, education.
Large cities and in capitals, and how much funding those organizations based in cities get, whereas rural and peripheral areas that can actually be marginalized do not get as much funding or focus. And therefore there is perhaps even less artists and musicians coming from smaller towns or villages. I think that we rarely hear about musicians who come from somewhere that is small, because of also the educational opportunities that may or may not have been able to have received. And again here, Ouafa, I think this is maybe something that where you can come in and share your learnings, but also if you want to elaborate on this.
Actually, I think the problem of representativity of artists or forms of art out of the centers is not much related to funding, or maybe it depends also from a country to another. Huh? But I think the problem is it's a matter of visibility. It's not there are no artists out of the center and the rural area. There are very creative people, but they don't get as much visibility and attention than the ones that are in the big cities. So it's not a problem of talent or resources. Of course, it's also a problem of resources. Like much more of funding are here, but because that's a vicious circle, it's a matter of visibility. So you're visible, you get funding, and it's turning around. But it's changing. If I take from now, if you look at the trend of, let's again, we're talking about institutional financing, institutional funding. The trend is now going to the peripheries, it's out of them the centers, and they want to give more in rural area, or what we call it in Tunisia, the underprivileged area. This is the politically correct word for that. So yeah, it's the policies is changing and moving to the out of the urban area culture, urban area art from art, because that's also a matter of diversity of expressions. Because if there is only one urban, like one style or one expression that it's dominating, because domination could be also within the same country. It's not a country to another. So yes, that's an issue, and there is a lot of work to be done on supporting diversity of artistic expression within the same ecosystem. If I may also complete on the what to do, like what to do. I mean, advice is I wouldn't add, the girls have said it all, but if there is something to add to what they have said, is two things. As a woman, never, I mean, as a woman or an artist, what the important thing for your survival is, don't put your psychological equilibrium on anything but yourself. The satisfaction of what you achieve and how, not on your parents, not on your partner, not on your peer fellows. It's first you. Put that equilibrium, that satisfaction of I'm happy with what I am doing or how I'm doing it. The others, they see it good, bad, it's secondary. It's not the important thing. And second, never avoid the fight, because it's not about you or me, it's about our sisters. The fight, because the better situation where we are in different countries now is because some of our mothers and elders have picked up the fight. And the danger now in some societies where we are, like at least Tunisia, for example, the privileged women's situation, but never take it as granted. Backward, it's very easy. So fighting because for your right, or fighting for the presence of women, this is something, this is a duty. You have to do it for your daughter. That's it.
Yes, and it is the future that I wanted to look towards next. Where do we go from here? We are in the middle of a bit of a crisis. I think we have realized that things are really changing around us. We had to, I'm not sure if adapt is the right word, but there's a lot of change happening at the moment. And I think specifically as women, I don't know how you found it, but like working from home and like you realize that, oh, you as a woman are working from home, but you still have the cleaning, the cooking and all of that to do, like there are these things. So and you can't escape. So yeah, what do you see in the next few months and years, and what can we do as well to, when we meet next year, hopefully, to make this world a better place, to make maybe little changes, like I don't know, like we need to be more connected. I think this is very obvious. There's not enough connections, especially female ones. Ouafa, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was saying, I mean, it's a hard question, honestly. Like when the first wave hit, we all were prepared. Okay, that's the first wave, and the curve going down. There is hope. Okay, and then back the second. I don't know. Honestly, I don't have an answer to that, because I'm still processing the the potentiality of not seeing people, of not touching people, of not hugging friends. It's really hard for me to imagine the future. I'm saying like, I really have no answer. Honestly, it's really too early to be able to see how we're gonna do it. How is this a permanent, and how we're gonna live through these virtual connections? Because at a certain point, it's tiring. Like, yes, Zoom, but it's not like when we are face to face, you know. So honestly, I can't say I have an answer. Honestly, I'm still
Sure.
processing.
And in terms of women in the industry, how can we make it a safer, more connected, better place?
I think there is like, this is a cross sector. I think there will be creating like organic networks or organic group to support each other, or someone when feels uncomfortable, who is in distress situation, because we have to say it, working from home puts a lot of women in a distress situation where they're in with abusive partners, and that's similar to your artists and our sector. So I don't know how aware are in the cultural creative sector the female about the existing support mechanism. They may be there. There are a lot out there. They're not specific for artists, but you don't have to have special hats to benefit from that. So maybe a way to raise awareness about the existence of such mechanisms, support groups, and hotlines for support. Yes.
Certainly. Mphatso, you're nodding there. Would you like to?
No, I was listening to Ouafa as she was talking about the present situation, the pandemic, and how it has affected the scenery and how it has been difficult. Because for an artist, we get our revenue from the performances, from the gigs. Of course, we can do the online distribution and stuff, but we know that we are performers. So, but of course, we have adapted, because I have seen that, like in Malawi, we started having online gigs. I know we didn't end something. I don't know if anybody achieved, but I know even Facebook was trying to change its system so that an artist can perform, and then you get some revenue from it, because we still need to survive as artists. So when Christina, you were talking about adapting, and I was thinking, how can we still, because if it's gonna, as Wolf was saying, it's difficult to think about the future. But if we've had 2020, that was crazy, and we're looking forward to 2021. In the event that 2021 is also crazy, how can we still utilize the digital platform? How can we modify ourselves? So how can we transist and still, because we can still do performances, but the challenge will be, how sure are we earning? How sure is our community? So I think this is a challenge that has been thrown into us. So I think we still have to think. I don't have an answer, but I'm like, how can we still utilize the digital platform and still earn some revenue on a serious note, not just a little? Because if we have to earn a living, yes, we are working from home. It's great when you're working from home and you've got an organization that is paying you. But think of an artist. Working from home for us has been more of finding our skill. We've been rehearsing a lot. We've had, yes, online gigs, but they never paid us. So working from home for an artist is going to be a different field altogether. Yeah.
Totally. And I think that the whole online performance thing also relies on having the equipment, having laptops, having access to good internet or Wi-Fi, and not all areas can have that. So it is actually creating a huge gap between who has access to all of these really developed technologies and who doesn't. And we need to think about how to bridge that gap. Lama would, thank you, Mphatso.
Of course, I hope that this situation is It's going to end next year, maybe by the end of next year, but I hope it will come to an end. It hasn't been an easy year. We've been working for free most of the time. Okay, I don't work for an organization, I work for myself. It's my company who pays me. If I don't get anything paid, we cannot pay any, we cannot pay for anything. We cannot pay the artist, nothing. So it's hard. So we just keep creating ideas, consultation, producing something, creating online event series, uh, anything just to support ourselves and support the others. But this can't last for long because we don't have funding for online events or concerts or conferences, sessions, workshops, anything. We just create things to keep us going, just to avoid going crazy and to keep our mind working. So, and things happen. But what for sure is going to stay with us is the technology. One of the good things is that the technology made us very close to each other. This year we've been introduced to many people who work in the field from different countries, from different continents. We initiated projects. Maybe this is the year to initiate projects, to try to produce, to try to work on yourself, on your talent, on your capacity building. I don't know. There was no time to do so before. No time for studying. No time for working harder on yourself because we were working all the time and struggling with time, like taking many projects, multitasking, going crazy, work, home, many projects, dues, and many things. So I think if we just use the challenges and make them some opportunities, I mean, it will be better. But the question is, there are some artists and some people in the business, if they don't work, they don't make money. And the government, they don't pay us salaries for staying at home in the pandemic time, unlike Europe or maybe the States or many other countries. So how do we survive? After several months, what's going to happen if we don't have any kind of income, parallel income?
These are very, very valid questions that I have been thinking about, especially that most musicians are freelancers and they're heavily dependent. And the way you make money in music is mainly through performances. And so there's a solution that has to be found here. Sandra, I think I'm going to ask you to come in here if you are around, especially that you're an artist and a musician, before we need to wrap up in the next we have 13 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were saying, sorry.
Yes, I was saying that especially as an artist and we know that musicians mainly make their money out of performances. We're looking into the future and we're looking at what can be done and how can we improve the situation, or if you have any solutions or suggestions of how to go forward.
My solutions and suggestions are: an artist should be well aware of the avenues in which their music is going through or in which their craft is being consumed. It's very important to do utmost research about the product that you are letting out and knowing who your consumers are, what you need to do to grow the scope or the scope at which you are creating and letting your craft out there for the people to be consumed. And secondly, how do you protect your work? You need to protect your work more. Find out ways how you can protect, copyright your art, copyright your books, copyright your music, because it's very important. You never know in the near future how your work can be valuable. Because when we create, it's like sowing seeds. You are sowing seeds in the soil. and they need to grow, they will grow. But you need to be ready for the harvest. Have you sprayed enough pesticide that you won't be attacked? So have you done the groundwork? Have you protected your work? And also, finding the right partners to help you out in this journey is so important. Establish those contacts, because in the near future, they are going to be able to help you out. You know, talk to as many people as you can. It might look the same advice that everyone is giving you. Make contact, talk to this person, to do the research, protect yourself. But it actually works. It's how we are supposed to survive as artists. We have to protect our work, our intellectual work, you know,
And property.
intellectual rights. We have to, because if we don't, no one else will do it for us, especially independent artists, you know. No one will do it for us. And also, this is very important. I will tell you too, from an artist point of view, please own the rights to your copies and your masters. When you are in studio, make sure those masters belong to you if you are a recording artist. And if you are a performer, make sure you read through every contract that is given to you. Do not sign blindly just because you trust someone, just because. Equip yourself with the knowledge that will defend you in the near future. It's the knowledge that will always save you.
Yeah, certainly. This is very, very helpful advice, especially that contracts, sync, and publishing are all new avenues that have entered the region within the last few years. So artists need to hear that. Within our last 9 minutes, I'm going to take a few questions from the audience. We have had some really nice comments. Saying thank you and that they're enjoying the discussion and the debate. Unesla is asking if there are any special programs for women artists in Africa and the Middle East.
Yeah. Special, like specific to COVID, or women support programs in general?
It's a general question, so I'm assuming it is for women in general.
From the top of my mind, there are generic. They're not specifically for women. Some coming lately, but I will advise you to invite you to Saturday. Saturday there is a conference on art emergency funding. CFW is organizing, with the people from all over the world presenting the emergency support program they put in for artists, how efficient they were or not. So there will be maybe some description of specific program. What else? I have made the list. Sorry, I can't. It's the end of the day and my brain. But also check on CFW website. We have created a list specific also for art emergency support for MENA and Africa specific. It's there. But there are international like support mechanism. There is for the cinema. There is a very specific one. Women something. But I will write it back to you. There is a specific women support program for women working in the cinema. It's based in the US. I can't remember, but I think our friends in the music might know about some. Few have opened during the COVID and closed. Now there are very few open, but I think maybe for the next wave, something will be announced and the conference on Saturday. So please join.
I would suggest, Ouafa, if you know the link, if you could send it to us, and maybe we can ask colleagues from Visa for Music to send it across, if that's okay.
I'll send it because my laptop shut down, so I connected from my phone. Okay. I can do the link and send it later.
Worries.
But check, or they can check on Culture Funding Watch Facebook page. It's there.
Excellent, excellent, lovely. And then Sauti Iza Busara is saying, thank you all for sharing your experience and thoughts. Very interesting. My question to each of you is, please let us know 1 or 2 women musicians or role models from Africa or the Middle East that have inspired you and why. I would ask you to stick to 1 minute each, please. Who would like to start? Yeah.
For me, it's Habiba Msika. She's a singer.
Oh, yes.
Yes. For me, she's my icon because she's a fighter. She's an artist. She's a provocateur. She's the one. I mean, she's been in prison because she's her career reached her peak when she was during the occupation, the French colonization, and she's been in prison because she has provoked it. And she's very famous for her. She's been a leader. She's had her in cours, and her end is tragic because she was amazing at all levels. She's been the difficult, the femme fatale. She's been the crazy artist. She's been the resistant. She's been the creative. So Habiba Msika, I invite you to discover that amazing lady.
Totally. And if I can just add that I think that very dramatically she was burnt by her partner, who was a jealous lover. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Who would like to go next? Mphatso, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself, please? Almost there. Almost there. No, we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Manu Galu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her well, but she's a bassist. So she's one Manu Galu. I don't know if you've heard about her. She's a great bassist. She's from Senegal. She is great. I've never seen a woman play bass like she does. I don't know who else in this group have seen her perform. She is such a sensational. So for me to see a woman being in charge of an instrument that is viewed as is stereotyped as for men, but this is a woman who can play bass. So I think she's one woman who has inspired me so much because she's broken the stereotypes. Because people think women are just supposed to be vocalists and backing vocalists or dancers, but this is a woman who takes charge of the bass, and I think that's what I can say. Yeah.
Brilliant. Lama or Sandra?
Well, there are many women that inspires me and keep inspiring us, all of us. But now it occurred to my mind, Saad Massi. I've always loved her and always loved her story and how she flew from Algeria to France and how she established herself. And I think she's a fighter. And she represents the new generation of musicians. So she's really one of the women musicians and songwriters is Saad Massi, really.
Yes, she's a powerful voice and an outspoken songwriter as well. And Sandra?
For me, it's Miriam Makeba. She inspires me from the core. Her spirit to fight for freedom, her spirit to change, her spirit to unite is still a stronghold. And wherever she is, Mama Africa, she inspires me so greatly. Yeah.
But where is she from?
She's from South Africa.
Okay, amazing.
But I would like to say she's from Africa because, oh my God,
yes.
From every part of Africa, she is there.
Great. And did all of us have a turn? Amazing. If I can just add, there's two women from my end that I have to mention. Badia Masabni, she used to have her own, what do we call it? Almost like a cabaret, her own theater. She was the one who actually revolutionized theater going for women at in the early 20th century. And I think that was a key point and an important thing to mention. And from the current times, I would certainly say Camelia Gibran with her oud and her experimentation and breaking norms of music and innovating. So we have had a very enriching debate between all of us. I think that we have gone through so much, and there were so many points that I would have loved us to delve deeper into, because an hour and a half is certainly not enough for us to cover all of these topics. I would like to thank each one of you. And again, thank the Visa for Music team for all of their great work and hard work. Ibrahim Al-Mazned, thank you as well. And I think that in an hour and a half, there will be a show by a Moroccan band that is called Tassout Animal. So please do log in, do have a look at them. All of the acts within the program are worth watching. Ladies, any final words of thanks or anything you would like to add?
I have a documentary coming out in February next year, and it's called The Dark One. Please look out for it, and I will be publishing more information on it on my page. And it's about skin, like I told you earlier. And you can share and share and share and share and share. And please help me join the fight to end this colorism in this entertainment industry, because it's way up here. I cannot. Yeah.
Ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.